Greetings. I'm the Black Ops Agent, God's Black Ops Agent, here to raise some critical theories with you. We know that there was a pandemic and another one coming. We know that there's forced food shortages. And we know that some of that was related to someone in the Biden's camp. We know that there is an economic crisis of inflation. Now, the banks will tell you that it's maybe 7.5% inflation, and that's kind of BS. You can go to the dollar store, and everything that used to cost $1 now costs $1.25, so that's 25% inflation. You can go to the gas station, and what was $2.40 a gallon is now over $4 a gallon. Premium is ridiculous. So that's over a 200% inflation. We look at the purposeful food shortage, look at the food contamination, look at the food shortage, and then we look at Biden having a problem with Haiti. Will shoot up Haitians, will point a gun at a Haitian trying to come in, but making every attempt to let the Ukrainians come in without vetting whether or not they're Nazis or hold pro-Nazi sentiments. And so then you have the replacement theorists, paranoid because their sperm count is dropping as if that's our fault. Then you have HBUs getting threats, I think January 4th, right before the insurrection. And then in February, many of the HBU colleges are getting threats of bombings and worse. People are threatening the students that if they go downtown, they're going to get it and all of this. So we see, again, the cowardice Biden's failure to clean out the insurrectionists and how it metastasizes throughout the society. So you have and we got to also mention him giving billions and billions and billions of dollars to Ukraine as if they're our next door neighbor. Now they're our neighbor, but we've got other neighbors. And we've got neighbors here that are suffering. You can take a look at some of the American cities and see the homeless, the effect of the homeless population. And even though many of the cities do what they can to take away the look of homelessness, they'll pack them up and move them out to the suburbs and stuff like that and get rid of them and tell them they can't set up a tent here. And they'll raid tent cities underneath the expressways and stuff. But still, you have to understand that the same president who made promises to do something about the student loan situation, $33 billion could have did a lot for that situation, could have did a lot of forgiveness. He chose to ignore all of the other wars going on all over the earth, and him and the media wanted to practice and only look at with narrow tunnel vision the issues in Ukraine. Now, whether you're for or against what Russia is doing, I understand historically Russia never enslaved folks. They never enslaved blacks. They didn't participate in many of the atrocities from the slave trade. They went in to cure and clean out the Nazis' actions in their next door, from their next door. And you can't blame them for that. In fact, you can blame our president for not doing the same inside this country, inside the House and Senate. So what we need to do is to begin to prepare for the crash of the dollar. Now, I thought it was interesting, the CIA and all of those operatives went and manipulated that the U.S. currency would be the currency of trade for the oil, the petrodollar. And when they tried to do a blockade and sanctions on Russia. Russia very smartly said, okay, you know, if you want your oil, you have to trade in rubles, excuse me, in rubles. And so that shifted the paradigm there, because that was their way of stopping the crash of the ruble. Now we know back in history, our hero Gaddafi wanted to free Africa and put Africa in power by using the gold dinar as the standard of trade for all the mineral rich issues that the whole white world wanted to pillage from Africa. And we see what happened is the U.S. presidents and heads of state caused put a hit list out on the man and killed him for wanting to increase the living standard and shift the power. And so, you know, wherever you look at it, you're seeing the same thing. Now, I know some of you are holding, you know, this party line and these patriotic songs, but you need to understand and ask yourself, what is the business of America? And the business of America is business. What is the science of business? The science of business is warfare. What is the art of warfare? The art of warfare is deception. You need to understand that. What is political science? Political science is political warfare. It's warfare through politics. What is marketing? Marketing is to create a want or a change of action where one previously did not exist. So once you understand the nature of the beast, then you're able to see what they'll do next. Now, it's kind of interesting. They control the HARP antenna array is one of the smaller antenna arrays that changes weather patterns. And so you may get hail on your roof and not, you know, like it was in Australia, they had baseball-sized hail smashing through the roofs, and the insurance company said it was an act of God. Well, how can it be an act of God when you have the HARP antenna array, operated by men? So you need to ask yourself a number of serious questions. For example, you're experiencing taxation without representation. Now, for example, didn't the Supreme Court, when it came to these lobbyists running into the White House and everywhere and bribing everybody or trying to run elections, didn't the Supreme Court say that money is speech? That money is akin to speech? Well, if money is akin to speech, then you shouldn't be paying taxes because it impairs your free speech. Matter of fact, on taxes, let me ask you a question. Is taxes voluntary or involuntary? Well, it's coerced. It's involuntary, but there's some coercion there. There's some fraud there. So if taxes are involuntary, ask your next question. Is it legal to fund a criminal organization? No, it's not legal to fund a criminal organization. And we know that the Federal Reserve has acted criminally in many cases and many times. So therefore, is it appropriate to pay taxes, or should you give them notice that you're now realizing that through their criminal acts that they're no longer should be receiving anything from you? So we can free you from taxes just with the concept of reality that if the Supreme Court is saying that money is free speech, then you shouldn't be taxed money, because they're reducing your free speech. And if funding criminal and terrorist organizations is illegal, again, you shouldn't be paying taxes. Should you be paying taxes? Because they're criminal acts. They fund both sides of wars. They spark wars, causing death to millions. Should you? And then, of course, I'm going to end with, why is certain people still alive, like Bill Gates? I'm just wondering, I'm not suggesting anything, but I'm wondering, Here this man wants to block out the very sun that gives life. They want to block out the very sun and he gets to stay alive. He's said many times that if the vaccines and things like that were properly done, it'd be a reduction in the world population by 10 to 20%. He literally wants to reduce through genocidal ways the population of the earth. Why is he still alive? And then you look at, okay, he invested in the vaccines in Wuhan, him and Fauci. He invested in that. And then the pandemic came. Okay? Then there's a housing shortage. He invested in land. He's one of the biggest landowners now in America near waterfronts. Okay? Now, then look, he invested in baby formula. And now look at the shortages. So how long are we going to be a fool? So what's your comments on these? Can you connect the dots? Can you see what's going on? Reach out at yesanthony@yahoo.com and let me know your opinions. And let's get together and come up with it. We have better solutions. Let's talk about those.